confusion, obviously, because there's no separate kehilas like there was in Europe.
He said.
So, okay.
Go ahead.
So him and Reb Aaron set up that the Reb Yoel, let's just say Reb Yoel would keep the regular Zman Erev Shabbos, and yeshivas would keep Rabbeinu Tam's Motzi Shabbos. That's what they set up. So they would keep the same Zmanim. And they had a Malav Malkut, they had an Asifa to celebrate this or to seal it. And Reb Yoel spoke. And he said, "Oh, well, unbelievably, so bittersweet Maisa. You have never heard this? It
sounds very familiar, but I'm
so
happy
he
to
spoke.
yeah.
So this is what he said. He spoke better than me, obviously. That there was a Yid, a wealthy man who came to yeshiva, needed a shidduch for his first daughter. So he went to a yeshiva. He said, "I want the best bach. I'm paying 10 years. I'll support him for 10 years." He found the bacha, very happy, made the shidduch. They are married, very good. So this fellow told his shver, he says, "Shver, one thing, only tonight I have, he said, I only eat fleishiks. Never eat, I only eat fleishiks." He says, "You got it. You got 10 years worth of fleishiks." Good. 2 years later, his next daughter is ready. Goes back. He's happy with his first item. So he goes to the same Rosh Hashiva. He said, I need a younger man." But so they made a shidduch the second daughter, and good. The second son says, he says, "Shver Laban," he says, "I only eat milchiks." He said, "You got milchiks for 10 years, fine." And they're going along. Everybody is very happy, very wonderful. Everything is going great. Then Nebuch, he has a big yerid in his geschäft, and he goes bankrupt. He has no money. So he calls the two sons in. They said, "Shver, we have no tainas. You were tremendous to us. We love you. You've supported our family. It's great." The one son-in-law turned to the other one. He says, "Now that you're not fleishiks anymore, and I'm not milchiks anymore, now we could eat together. Now that we're power, we'd eat together." So the Rebbe said, "You're Nebuch in America. Nebuch, we lost the Masoras of all the Kehilas in the Haim. So now we could do the same thing, Nebuch. We're power in America."
Is that what that was talking about? What to decide the Zmanim?
About the Zmanim Shabbos, yeah, front and back, yeah.
Interesting. I hear. All right, we ready to roll? Okay, the first part of this Amud is quite dry. There's one Gishmaka thing though.
There's a nice map in Artsville.
Artsville has a good map.
I guess a little corner piece here.
I know, but why don't they put it with the cities from today? What they call today? Is that
Maybe that's what this is.
okay?
They might, but if Tully doesn't know the difference, they might.
He was looking at it, not me.
Very good.
But Reb Yaakov went to see her. She has an excuse. Where did you go? You went to fancy
Which year?
yeshivas.
I have a better
I'm
excuse.
Darche.
Which
I'm
year?
Darche.
Are you Darche? I'm
I'm
sorry.
Darche.
Yeah, you're Darche.
I don't know if it's better or worse, but I'm Darche. Okay, two
Look
lines
how
down.
proud Zevi is.
Yeah, that's right.
That's before Zevi's time.
Yeah. Yeah, second line down. So first we deal with a bunch of names of countries, etc., etc. Parsai minolan de Yefes cost. So we said yesterday that according to
just thought of the next year's alumni of the year.
there you go. Don't give anybody any big ideas. I think
I'm going to work on it.
I think the Harris Street Minion or whatever you call yourself should be honored as a
Please
group.
don't. Please, I can't afford any more dollars going anywhere to support places. Come on.
Yeah. All right. I used to not have to give all tzedakah because I didn't have cash on me. Now all these guys walk around with machines that my Apple Watch works with, and I have no excuse. Anyways, okay. So Zok the Gemara. Yeah, 2 lines down. So that's what we're saying. We're discussing yesterday. So yesterday we said that Rabbi Yochanan said, Reish Lakish said that the reason why the second Beis Hamikdash didn't have the Shechina was because the people that from Bavel didn't come up to Eretz Yisrael with Ezra. And Rabbi Yochanan disagreed. He said the reason why there's no Shechina there was because because it was built by Goyim, by the Persians, right? But when we said based on the pasuk from Yefes, right? So the Gemara asks, second line down, how do we know that Parsa is from Yefes? It says in the pasuk, "B'nei Yefes, Goymer u'Magog u'Madai v'Yavan v'Suva v'Meshach v'Sirus." Yeah, those are all names. Goymer. So who is this? Goymer ze Gurmamia. So that's Gurmamia. So now, what is Gurmamia? Okay, whatever. Let's just go through it first. Magog zu Kandia.
It's a place here in the map.
They're all That's,
Okay.
Yes. Well, Germany. That's
Yeah,
We'll get back to that in a second. Let's just go through. Magog zu Kandia, Madai zu Macedonia. That's Macedonia, no? Yavan Kemashmai. Yavan is Kemashmai, or there's different girsas here of what exactly that says. Tubal ze base Unaika, Meshech ze Musia, Tiras. If you play Risk, maybe you got a chance with this Gemara also. I don't know. Tiras Pligiba Rav Simai v'Rabbanan, Rami Rav Simon v'Rabbanan. Chad Amar Zu Beis Traiki, Chad Amar Zu Paras. So Tani Rabbi Yosef Tiras Zu Paras. Safsa v'Rama Safsa v'Rama v'Saftecha. Yeah, Tani Rabbi Yosef. That is what. Sakisison, Kviasa, Sasiksa, and Beryasa. Right? Those are the names, those are the cities that I guess back then, that's the countries that they were. Yes. So between Chada L'Chada, Mea Parsi, between each one of them is 100 parsa, Ve'kefa Alpha Parsi, and around it is 1,000 parsa. Yeah. Okay, so those are all the mountains. But Tehi, Rashis Mamlachti Bavel, Ve'erech, Ve'akad, Ve'kalni. Right, at the beginning of the kingdom was Bavel, Aranach, Ve'kalni. Bavel Kimashma. Bavel is like Mashma, that's Bavel. Erech, Zu, Arichus. Ve'echet, Zu, how do you pronounce it? Paschal. Yeah. Kalna, Zu, Neufer Nifli. Fine. Minara Tzahi Yotza Asher. From that land went Asher. Tani Rabbi Yosef. Asher is a Silik. Asher is Silik. Vayivan, I'm sorry, as Ninveh ves Rechaves Ir ves Kala. And they built up Ninveh, Rechaves Ir and Kala. So Ninveh we know from Yaina. Right? Ninveh Kemashmai. That's Mashmai. Rechaves Ir zu Pras de Mishon. And Klav zu Pras de Pursiv. Fine. Vesrasen bein Ninveh bein Kalach hi ha'ira gedayla. Resen ze Aktisvan. Who hi ha'ir ha'gedayla. That's a big city. Any a day in Ninveh here gedayla. But we don't know if Ninveh is considered a big city. In Resen ha'ira gedayla, or if Resen is the big city. So Kashuaimer ben Ninveh ha'ir gedayla lelekim mahalach shleishos yamim. It's such a big city that it takes 3 days to get across it. A country. I'm sorry, I keep saying city. It's a country. So it must be that in Ninveh is the Eir Gedayla. Fine. No, so let's stop right there for a second. So if you look at the Gra, so just going back, the one country that is recognizable is Germania, right? Which if you look at the Gra, see the Hagoyas Hagra on the left, at least in mine it's in the left. So the Gra says, Germania Tzarech Leimer Germania. El Yerava is the Gra's Pirish on the Goyim, on the Mishnayos Negoyim. Negoyim is Saras. Right? So the Gra, it's a fascinating Gra. I took a picture on my phone of it today. So he says, in Germania, he says, Kedamrina Beyuma, Goyim is a Germania, Bagarsin in Germania. Then he says that the Bnei Noach lived in three different parts of the world. Shem was in the east, Yefes was in the north, and Chum was in the south. Right? And then he says, so Chum, because it's the south, closer to the sun, to the equator, he says, because the sun is more in the south, it's very low to the earth. B'nei Adam hadarim sham shchayrim. That's why the people that live there in the south are black.
Not because it was Kush.
For Kush who mipnei Cham, and Kush is from the sons of Cham. V'dar b'soif darim, and they lived in the end of the darim. Hilka chem shchayrim b'yoser machmas hashemesh. That's why they're darker and they're black because of the sun. B'nei Yefes heim darim b'tzafon v'rechaykin chem hashemesh, and the ones that live in the north, like Germany, they're very far from the sun. Hilka chem levanim, they're very white. B'gaimer dar b'soif tzafon hilka chem levanim b'yoser, they're very, very white. And then he goes on. So that's what. So the Germans are very, very white because they're further from the sun, and the what do you call it? It's the Chum. The Bnei Chum. They're Schwarzes because they live very close to the sun. That's what the Gra. That was. I don't know, but that's.
Isn't that a Chumash?
Doesn't say he's going to be black. It's in the Chumash says he's going to be black.
Rashi or something, yeah.
I don't know. That could be that. I think that's Vertlach.
Okay.
Whatever it is, that's what the Gra says. Right? So Germans are very white, and has to do with tzaras, and the mission over there has to do with tzaras because there's different, since it was last week's parsha, there's different colors of tzaras. So the Gra is going on the Mishnah where on a light colored tzaras, on a white person would be very hard to see, but you put it onto a black person, it's much easier to see. And a dark tzaras on a black person is hard to see, but on a white person it's much easier to see. Whatever, that's what the Mishnah is talking about. So that's what the Gra says, quoting our Gemara. Okay, fine. So now back into the Gemara. So now, because we were discussing all sorts of names, so then the Gemara darshans out some sukkim. You have Sham Achiman Sheishav Sama Yelide Anok. So, what do you call it? This is talking about the Meraglim, right? So they went to Hebron, and Achiman and Sheishai and Talmai were all kids from what do you call it? They were the son. What was the name of the
Bnei Anak.
Bnei Anak. But no, it wasn't. They were Yelidei Anak. They were the kids of a giant. Anak means a giant. But who was it? Oig? Wasn't Oig? Was it?
No.
No. Who was?
Doesn't say his name. We don't know the name.
It does.
But we don't know his name.
Rashi brings the name by Marasa Machpelah, no?
Isn't it Oig's brother? No, aren't they the Oig had brothers or something? I don't know.
Must have been in his family, right? If they were giants. Anyway, it's okay.
They're all in the feeling.
Yeah. So Tana, Achiman miyuman sheba achim. Achiman, right? Is because he was the strongest of the brothers. Sheishai, shemesim esaretz be'keshichisais. He could make when he would walk, he could just totally smash the whole world. Talmai shemesim esaretz tlamim. That when a telam is like when the earth, when you make a furrow or not a mound, I think the other way. I mean, he makes right
Plowing.
When he walks, it's like he's plowing. That's how strong he is. So davar acher, or another pshat, Achiman bana Anos, he built Anos. Sheishai bana Alush, and Talmai bana Salbush. Or whatever, these are types of cities. Yelidei Ha'anak, Shamanik and Acham v'Koimasan. Right? Because meaning they're so tall that it looks like they blocked out the sun. So therefore the sun looked like it was an anak. It can also be like a necklace. So it looks like it went around them. So that's how big they were. So Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Amar Rav, Asida Roimi Shetiba Biad Paras. In the future, Rome is going to fall to the Persians. Shenemar Lochein Shimu Atzas Hashem Asher Yoatz Al Edom Machshavos Asher Choshav Al Yoshve Seimon Im Lo Yischaruv Tzirei Hatzayin Im Lo Yashim Aleim Neveim. Right? So he's saying that listen to Hashem, that he made a plan against Edom, and he thought about the people that lived in Taimon, and the younger ones are going to come. The younger ones, referring to them as Tzayin, and they're gonna destroy them. So that's what we're saying, that Rome is going to fall to the hands of Persia. So Maskefla Rabbi Barula, so Rabbi Barula asked the Kasha to him, I mashra the high tziri at Tzayin Paras. So who says that the young sheep is considered paras. Tichsiv, Hayol Asher Reisa Bala Karnaim, Malchem Modeh Paras. It says that the Bala Karnaim that had horns on it, right? That's the kings of Modeh and Paras. But he says Ve'ema Yavan, but maybe it's Yavan. Tichsiv, maybe it's Greece. Tichsiv, Bat Safir Hasiir Melech Yavan. They refer to them also as a goat, right? It says Safir. Hasoir, the Seir Melech Yavan is the king of Yaman. So who says it's Paras? So that was his kasha. So we're going to answer the kasha. Kisalik Rav Chaviva bar Suramki, when he went up, Amra Kameda Humira Bonon, he said this kasha that Rav Bar Ula asked, that maybe it's Yavan, not Paras. Amar Lei. So they told him, Simon, don't listen to this one. Yeah, Mandala Yoda Prushe Kroy, Moisef Tiyufta Rebbe, a guy who doesn't know how to teach the psukim is going to ask a kasha to Rebbe, right? Yeah, so we're not going to continue with the conversation from last night, but that's okay. That's the way it is. It's talking and learning, yeah. So, my tziri atzayin. What does it mean tziri atzayin? Yeah, it means zutri da'chay. Means the youngest of all the brothers. The Taner Yosef, Tiras Zeh Paras. That's Tiras is Paras. So when it's referring to the flock, that's what it means. It means it's the Tzeirei Hatzayin is referring to Paras. It doesn't mean that anytime you just refer to Seir, it can be either like Yavan or it could be like Paras. It's referring specifically to the youngest of the giants, which is Paras. Okay.
I don't really understand this answer.
Yeah.
The next words in that pasuk are V'hakeren hagadol asher beininov, who Hamelech Harishon, the first king of Yavam, was called the Karen. So if we're talking about Karnaim or Kranim,
Right.
why are we asking from Hatzafer at Sawyer? The next word is Hakaren.
I'm saying, why does that change it? I mean, they're both referred to as Tzayin or Sawyer.
Yeah, but then the reason was because originally you said, right, Hoyel Asher Isa Bala Kranim, Karnaim.
Karnaim, yeah. Right.
So once the Bala Karnaim is Malchim Adei Paras.
Right.
Now the Gemara asks, how do you know the Karnaim refer to them? Maybe Karen is someone else. Yavam. Yavam was straight out of the puzzle called the Karen. How does this answer it?
Well, because he's saying that it's in a reference specifically to Tiras, right? What's in the pasuk over there? Right? Because he says that he doesn't, when he says of the sign, it's lav dafka sign. He's saying he's referring to the youngest of the giants, right? So I guess what it means is that it's not referencing any of the sign that have nothing to do with anything having to do with sign. Yeah. Okay, whatever it is. Yeah. So Amar Rabba Rabbi Yochanan Mashum Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Loi. I see the Rome Shetipol B'Yad Paras. Rome is going to fall to the Persia. Kal v'chaymer Omam Mikdash Rishon Shebeno B'nei Shem. If the Mikdash Rishon that was built, like we said yesterday, by the B'nei Shem, by the Yidden, Bechviruvu Kasdiim, right? And the Kasdiim destroyed them, right? So that's Kasdiim. It means Babel. Naflu Kasdiim B'Yad Parsiim. But if the Kasdiim were overtaken by the Parsiim, right? Mikdash Sheni Shebanu Parsiim Vechiru Raimim. So in the base of Mikdash, which was built by the second base of Mikdash, was built by the Persians, and it was destroyed by the Romans. Isn't it a kal v'chaymer that the Romans will fall to the Persians because they're going to get back. They're going to take Nekama from the Romans, right? Meaning, if the more chashuv base of Mikdash was the first one, and it was destroyed by Bavel, and then they were beat up by Paras. So Paras came out the winner. So then the Mikdash Sheni, which is less chashuv, and the Persians built it, but was destroyed by Rome, then for sure the Persians are going to end up winning Meaning, if they ended up winning in the first base of Mikdash, they're going to end up winning in the second base of Mikdash. That's essentially what he's saying. Right? So that's the first shita. Second shita is Rav disagrees. Amar Rav Asida Paras Shetivo Biyad Raimi. No, Paras is going to end up being conquered by Rome. Amrle Rav Kahana. So Rav Kahana says, Amrle Rav Kahana Ravasi L'Rav Baduye Biyad Sturi. Right? Should the ones that build it fall to the ones that knocked it down? Meaning, at least why should the Persians lose? They're the ones that built the second base of Mikdash. They should fall to the Romans. So the Gemara says, Amar Lahu, yes, Gezeres Melachi, it's Gezeres HaMelech. And once Hashem decides a Gezerah, that's the way it's going to be. And Mamela, even though it's not right that the Persians should be conquered by the Romans, because the Persians built the base of Mikdash, but the Maisa, that's what Hashem wants. Igad Amri, Amar Le Inhu Nami, Hakasasi Beknishta. They destroyed basic Knesses, right? Meaning the Persians destroyed a lot of shuls, so of course they're gonna be taken over by Rome. Tani Namachi, I see the Paras Shetibo Biyad Raimi. The Persians are gonna fall to the Romans. Chada the Sasi Beknishtov. One reason is because they knocked down base shuls. And it's a gezerah from the king, from Hashem, that those that built the base of Mikdash are gonna fall to those that destroy the base of Mikdash. Damar Rav Yudah Marav, Ein Ben David Ba, Acha Tishat Malchus Rami Harisha B'chol Olam Kuloi, Tisha Chadashim. Ben David, meaning Moshiach, is not going to come until Rome is in control of the entire world for 9 months. Shenemar, L'chein Yitneim Ad Eis Yeleda Yolada V'Yeser Echav Yeshuvah Al B'nei Yisrael. He's going to give up until the time that Yeleda Yolada, till the one who's supposed to give birth gives birth, right? And then everybody's going to return back to Bnei Yisrael. So the Rome has to be in charge for at least 9 months. Did that happen yet? Did that happen already? Was Rome ever in control? They were in control. They were never in control of the whole world years and years ago.
What do you mean? What do you mean the whole world?
The whole inhabited world. The whole inhabited world. They took over the Greek Empire, who took over the Persian Empire. So Rome was in control of the inhabited world at one point.
No,
No, they
what?
didn't.
what-
Yeah,
we're never in the whole world.
during the Alexander the Great.
the
That was
world
Greece.
Right.
the world that was, I'm asking, the world that was known to them. They didn't, Alexander never controlled China. China was around.
Nope, nobody lived there. But nobody lived there.
Nobody
What are
lived
you
there.
talking about? No one
Where'd they
lived
get
in China.
Of course they did.
Are you serious?
Achashverosh, it's brought down to the 4 kings that control the entire world. Achashverosh is one of them. Right?
Okay.
127 countries, we had Kush.
And we,
Alexander the Great took over every ounce of Achashverosh's kingdom.
Dovey, we
and the
have
Romans,
proof otherwise. Dovey, when they say the known world, it doesn't mean the entire. They weren't in Africa. They didn't go to Africa, and yet we still had the Queen of Sheba and was and Shlomo Melech, right? They didn't go to Africa. He didn't go to England. Yet we have proof that they were there. What are you talking about?
the Gemara says that
The Gemara, just because the Gemara says it, we also don't follow the medical advice anymore. Dovey, they knew. They knew.
Simon's round.
I'm not
From
sure why
last
he's so
night.
angry about this.
Because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make. We have historical record.
Okay.
That
I'm
was
a simple
what they
man.
knew
I
at the
take things
time.
at face value.
That was what they knew at the time.
So you're saying, Simon, that before Mashiach comes, Rome is going to have to take over the world for 9 months. In the next 200 some odd years, if this
But
is
there's
all
no such thing
accurate,
as
right?
Rome.
One could argue. And by the way,
The Catholic Church.
Alexander the Great never came to America, either one of the Americas, and there were amazing civilizations prior to Alexander the Great. Give me a break. But yes, in terms of Rome, in terms of Edom, yes. But all the farm that I've read on Edom and things like that, it's Christianity.
Yeah.
Yaakov, maybe you could say that the Vatican's controlling the world.
Maybe.
could.
I don't know.
understand
Vatican has no
that.
power.
I'm in South Bend. I could tell you that the Vatican's very strong here.
That it's South
It's
Bend.
actually, they're the largest landowner on the planet is the Vatican. They
So
own
does
more
that help?
property than anyone else.
Oh, really? Is that true?
Yeah.
Every church, every school, all belongs to the Vatican. They're the largest landowners on the planet.
Really?
I thought Panovich Yeshiva was. Okay.
The mirror somewhere, you know.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. So that means somewhere then buy stock in Rome. That's all. Buy stock in Rome because officially Mashiach has to come in the next 219 years, right? And we need Roman control of the whole world for 9 months before that could happen. Whatever that means. Whatever.
Yeah, but you don't know that didn't happen yet.
That's what I'm asking. If it
Okay,
happened
but
already,
now it's a
Simon is
gamble.
adamant
It's like
it did
any
not
stock.
happen
It's
yet.
like any stock. I'd bet against Simon.
All right.
You can bet against me all you want. You went to school in South Bend. I can tell you you're wrong.
Okay. Let's see, Viter. Okay, that's the end of
There's
that-
only
that's
one
the
of my
end of-
many stops.
Okay, so now for the next two blocks, we get into Hilchos Mezuza. It's very geschmack. It's a lot of Hilchos Mezuza. Yeah, Toner Rabbanon. All the rooms that were in the base of Mikdash, none of them had a mezuzah except for the lishkas parhedrin, which
That's
is where the
where
kohen
the kohen
gadol
was.
went to for the week. Base dira, the kohen gadol. There was a base dira there for the kohen gadol. So none of them had mezuzahs except for that one. But there were a lot of places that had a lot of rooms that had places to live. Right? They had Kahanan were there, Levium were there, they had to stay there.
Had a room also
Yeah.
for 7 days.
No, we said you don't have to. We said we don't have to. We didn't. No, we came out that you don't have to.
One
He was
sheet
not.
though.
Yeah.
But one
No,
sheet
no,
said you
that's
had
what
it
we
on
came
the
out that
room.
you didn't have to.
Who?
Hey, what?
What?
The scan, the guy, the backup.
In a different part. Didn't they
The
say
backup kohen gadol. Right? Elo lishkas parhedrin gezeira haisa. So it meaning for the first sheet that sounds like the reason why the only room that had the mezuzah was the parhedrin because that's the only room that somebody lived in. Mashma that if there were other rooms that people lived in, it would need mezuzahs. Rabbi Yehuda is disagreeing. He says no, there were other rooms that had people living in them. Right? So then why did the lishkas parhedrin have mezuzah and the other rooms not? El lishkas parhedrin gezeira haisa was a gezeira. Right, which we're going to see on Amud Beis exactly what that gezeira was. My time with Rabbi Yehuda, right? So why? Meaning, so comes out according to Rabbi Yehuda, it didn't need a mezuzah either, the kohen gadol's room, but they made it for a gezeira. So it means it's midrabanan, meaning midaraisa, the kohen's room did not need a mezuzah. My time with Rabbi Yehuda, so Amar Rava or Rava, because Rabbi Yehuda called bias shein asili ma'isacham li ma'isach shamam ain't no bias. Any house that's not meant to be lived in all year round doesn't need a mezuzah, right? So therefore, the lishkas parhedrin was only used once a week.
So bungalow doesn't need.
According to this, a bungalow would not need. Yeah. According to this, midaraisa
Or a garage.
or a garage, right? Or a garage, midaraisa, midrabanan. Yeah. We're going to see from all these gemaras in the next two blocks. In the next two blocks, we're going to see from these gemaras that it's not so simple to have a room that needs a mezuzah daraisa. Yeah, go ahead, Gershon. What are you saying?
What about my shed?
Your shed needs midarabanan, but not midaraisa. Your shed is a besmerish, Avi.
Is that where you sleep, Avi?
Almost.
Pretty close to it.
I don't think this would cover a bungalow. It says Einay Asui. A bungalow is built for summer and winter. Just because people don't live there doesn't make it not Asui.
Bungalows are not
the
built for the winter.
parhedrin was a room that was livable the whole year round. He just didn't live there. No?
It wasn't built to live in at all. It was built as part of the Beis HaMikdash.
I understand, but it was a room
Bungalow
that
is built to live in. It's built to live in, and it's technically available summer and winter.
So was the
You
parhedrin.
choose not to live there.
Nothing
It wasn't built
changes.
to live in.
But it
wasn't
Lamaisa-
The kohen gadol lived there for a week. What do you mean it wasn't made to live in? He lived
That's
there for a
it.
week.
It wasn't. Even if you say it was built to live in, it was only built to live in for a week. But it wasn't built to live in at all. The challah wasn't built to
Right,
live
but
in.
Lamaisa, it is a livable room.
What did they?
That's not what it says. It says
Gershon.
She'enei asi l'meisacham l'meisach shalom. It's not
Gershon,
built to live in. Yeah.
the kohen gadol was one of the 2 or 3 most powerful people in Eretz Yisrael. He lived here for a week. Don't you think they put in a nice bed for him? He didn't live on a takeaway cot from Costco.
We're irrelevant, completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant.
Oh, it's
Why is that
irrelevant.
irrelevant?
Excuse me.
Why is it irrelevant?
Putting something into a room does not make it built for that. The Gemara says, "Kol bayis she'enei asui l'moisech hamaves geshon."
What?
It's
Excuse
not
me.
made for that. Putting
How
a
do you
bed in
know?
doesn't make the
How
room.
do you know what it was made for? The only
When it
thing
was
we know
built as
about
part of the Beis Hamikdash,
the only thing we know about the Lishkas palhedrin is the kohen gadol lived there for a week. We don't know anything else about it.
Well,
So
we
therefore,
do. The truth is, we did say 2 days ago in the Daf, we said that every year they redid it. They made it every fancy, right? Didn't we say that? Right. Each kohen gadol made it fancier than the next guy.
Those were the bad
they
ones.
redecorated.
Those
Those
were
were
the
the
Knock
bad
bad
it
ones.
down and build it again.
I don't know. Okay, I'm not sure. I don't know. I thought like you, and then I thought, no, the mice, it's the same as a bungalow. I thought like Zev, it's the same. Sounds like the same as a bungalow. Okay, we'll see how the sugi goes. So Esvei Abaye has the kasha for Ksivi Casey as Pesach Charif al Pesach Kayetz, and I'm gonna hit. This is talking about Hashem punishing from Rishoim. So it says I'm gonna knock the Pesach Charif, the winter houses, the same as the summer houses. Right. So what do you see from that? It's still called a bias. It's called a house, right? Even if it's temporary, but it's called a bias. Amalei, bias chayref base chayref base kayitzikri. That's called a house of the winter and the summer. Bias stama loyikri, but it's not called a house, meaning it's called a summer house, winter house. It's not called a bias. Stama bias is permanent. The other base that's not a permanent. Okay, so Abaya asked the kasha, Sukkah sachag b'chag. This is not talking about Sukkah. I mean, it's talking about a Sukkah, but it's talking about for Chumas and Meiser. Well, Meiser really. Chumas and Meiser. We said that when are you mechuyev to start taking off Chumas and Meiser? Only once you bring the fruits
into the house.
So is a Sukkah considered a house? Right? So Sukkah sachag b'chag, let's say you brought it into a Sukkah on Sukkahs, right? I mean, there's no shayla if it was bringing into a Sukkah not on Sukkahs, that's not a house. Right? It's a temporary dwelling, it's a hut or tent, whatever you want to call it. Rabbi Yehuda mechayev, so Rabbi Yehuda says chayev, b'chachamim palhedrin, b'chachamim say palhedrin. But Tani Rabbi Yehuda mechayev be'eruv u'b'mezuzah u'b'maisa. He says they're chayev in an eruv, meaning if you're making a ruvi chatzeris and there's a Sukkah on Sukkahs in the yard, then that Sukkah has to participate in the Eruv. And the Mezuza, and it needs a Mezuza. And it's Kaveh Meiser. With the Rabbanon. And if you're going to say,
what is in this Mezuza?
What? That's what he holds. And if you're going to say that a Sukkah is considered the Rabbanon, which means that it would be the same, it has to be that, because we said that Rabbi Yehuda says that the palhedrin only needed a Mezuza, Midrabanon. So if the room that the kohen stays in once a year for a week is the Rabbanon, so a sukkah for a week needs a mezuzah, for sure going to be a Rabbanon, right? So bishlam erev mezuzah equal Rabbanon. So you could say an erev and a mezuzah. You need a mezuzah on a sukkah midrabanon, and you need to make the erev midrabanon. Ela meiser equal Rabbanon. Can you say that meiser you're gonna really midaraisa? You don't have to give meiser when you bring the food into the fruits and vegetables into the sukkah. But midrabana you do, then you're gonna have a problem on Talmud base. Dilma asi la frushe min achiyav ala patur. Anytime you get involved with telling somebody that he has to take off chumas and maisus midrabana, not midaraisa, now you have a risk, because he may take like this. Let's say a guy has 10 vegetables, 10 tomatoes that he's got to take off chumas and maisus, right? And he's got 5 that he brought into the sukkah and 5 that he brought into his house. Right? So if you're saying that he needs to take off from the 5 that went into the sukkah, so he's going to combine them with the 5 that went into the house, and he's going to take off 1 tomato, right? But midaraisa, it's not, in that case, it's not going to be a problem because he took off more. So that's really a bad example. But the point is that 5 midaraisa were potter, right? So essentially what happened is he took off, well, there it is a problem because he's going to take 1 tomato from the one in the sukkah. That means he took no meiser from the daraisa. Again, he has 5 tomatoes in his house, 5 tomatoes he brought into the sukkah. So the 5 that he brought into his house need meiser taken off midaraisa because they're in the house. The 5 that are in the sukkah, he needs to take off only midarabbanan. So he decides, let me just take off 1 tomato from the ones in the sukkah, having in mind the ones in the house. Comes out that he didn't take anything off from the one in the house because the ones in the house were deraisas, and the tomato that he removed was only chayiv and meiser midarabbanan. So how could it ever be that you mechayev some be meiser derabanan? People are going to end up. It's going to end up being a big michshol. So therefore, it can't be that tomar derabanan.
Is this where the windows in the sukkah came from?
What, you want to go into the window?
Bring it through the window. You don't have to bring the mice. That's where all the windows came from.
But you could do that in the house too, Peretz.
I understand, but that's why all the feinschmeckers have windows. No, really, they're trying to get out of mice.
Okay, maybe. Maybe. So that's the kasha. So it can't be a derabanan. So Elo Marabaya. B'shiva the kuli amalei pligi de mechayva. Right? That if there's something going to be for 7 days, right? Then the Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanakama hold that it's going to be a deraisa that you need a mezuzah. Right? And Memela, a mezuzah on a sukkah, since we're there for 7 days, is also going to need a mezuzah midaraisa. We don't paskin like this. Keep ligi. They're having a machlokes the rest of the year. What's the story for the chiyuv mezuzah for the rest of the year? They hold that you need to have the mezuzah the whole year on the lishkas palhedrin because we're afraid that you're not going to have it for those 7 days. There's no gezerah, right? And so then why does it have a mezuzah on? That we're going to see at the bottom of the Amud, why it has a mezuzah on, right? So Amar le Rava, v'sukkos chag v'chag katani, but it says sukkos chag v'chag, right? And the Chachamim said you're potter from a mezuzah. Right now we just got finished saying the Rabbanan hold you would need a mezuzah. Either Rabbanan would agree you need a mezuzah on the sukkos chag v'chag, but the Rabbanan there say you don't need. So that's not a good shot. Ela Amar Rava b'shar yimos hashana kuli amalei pligi de betura. The whole year round, everybody agrees that the kohen gadol's palhedrin does not need a mezuzah. Ki pligi b'shiva. But the machlokes is during the 7 days that the kohen's there. The sukkah time l'chud, the lishka time l'chud, and sukkah has its own reason why it needs a mezuzah, and the lishka has its own reason. Sukkah time l'chud, the sukkah, the reason why we need a mezuzah. Rabbi Yehuda l'tamei. Rabbi Yehuda holds the Amar. If anybody remembers from sukkah diras keva beinim. Rabbi Yehuda holds that a sukkah is not supposed to be a temporary building. It's supposed to be a permanent building. So memela, it needs a mezuzah. Umachayv a mezuzah. But Rabbanan l'tamai, and Rabbanan go with their shita. The Amri sukkah diras arai beinan. The sukkah is only diras arai. But loy mechayv mezuzah, and they're not mechayv you to have a mezuzah. Right? So and this has nothing to do with the palhedrin now. Their machlokes b'sukkah has nothing to do with the palhedrin because the palhedrin is for sure a kavua, right? It's not a temporary thing. So so that's sukkah. Lishka time l'chud, and the lishka's palhedrin has its own reason. Rabbanan sabri dira ba'al karcha shma dira. The dira that a guy who's living in it doesn't have a choice is considered a dira, right? So therefore he needs a mezuzah. Rabbi Yehuda savar dira ba'al karcha loishma dira. Really, the kohen doesn't want to live there. He's living there he's being forced to live there. Right? So he doesn't really need a mezuzah. And the Rabbanan were
forced, or that's part of his job.
Okay, that's the same thing. No, isn't a job being forced? Is some form of it?
I wouldn't say you're forced to go to work every day. I mean, it's part of life. So this is part of his job. I don't know if that's the same as forced.
I don't know. Okay, that's debatable. I hear, but whatever
I'm not
it
sure
is,
it's talking about the kohen gadol. The dira bal karcha. It's not bal karcha. It's bal karcha. We're using it as a dira against its will, so to speak. The base, the lishkas palhedrin wasn't built for a dira.
But I think they're saying
it
like
as a dira because we need someone to put the kohen gadol. We need
I don't
someone
know,
to put the kohen gadol. So we put him in the lishkas palhedrin.
Okay, but no, whoever's going to live there is not really interested in living there, I guess.
That might also be true, but the Gemara says bal karcha. Not Bal
I thought you were saying that it's a mashma that it was a female kohen gadol. I don't know where you were going with that.
No.
Right? Okay. Right. Okay. I hear what you're saying, but whatever the point is that the machlokes is whether somebody who's living there. Okay, Al Korchel, you're right, David. It's a strong lashon, right? That he's forced to live there. I imagine kohen gadol was happy that he was the kohen gadol.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm saying.
Right. No, I hear that.
He might not have been happy to leave his wife and family for a week or whatever, but he still was part of his job and the Erev Yom Kippur, like, pretty exciting stuff for him.
Right, I hear that. Well, like pretty nerve wracking too, but
not if they keep replacing them.
Well, right. So I don't know.
And to have 3 or 4 wives lined up for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's that's okay, but that's a machlokes. So now, what's the reason that Rabbi Yehuda requires a mezuzah midrabanan? Again, let's just chazar just to make sure we have it clear. They both hold, Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan both hold that there was a mezuzah on the room that the kohen gadol was, right? The Rabbanan hold that it's a real chiyuv of mezuzah like anything else. Rabbi Yehuda holds no. The Raisa there's no chiyuv. It's only with the Rabbanan. So the Gemara went through a couple of ways to try and figure out why we needed the Rabbanan. Here now we're up to the main reason maskonas advarim. When the Rabbanan who did kinula and the Rabbanan were masakan and mezuzah on the lishkas palhedrin shelo yoimru, so that they shouldn't say kohen gadol chavash beis asurin. People shouldn't say that the kohen gadol is in jail, right? Meaning, if there was no mezuzah on there, people would think that you're nobody stays in jail. You hope not
There's
forever.
no mezuzah in any room in the basement.
What? But that's because nobody lived there. So here he's living there and he doesn't have a mezuzah, so people are going to think, oh, he's in jail. And
what?
It just looks bad.
What? It's Marasayan? What is it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's Maris, that he did something wrong.
Well, what's the issue?
That it looks
I'm
bad.
saying, what do we care what people were saying? He wasn't in jail.
It's all about the optics, Reb Zev. It's all about.
What do we care
what
the people are thinking?
The halachas concerning Kohanim and the kibbut of Kohanim are crazy. You go through Mishnah Berurah just in Chelik Beis.
I mean, how much you have to be mechabed them?
Yeah, it's just out of control. So
it's true, and we don't keep all these things, but we should. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll agree with you on that, but okay.
What, we don't keep it? You think we do keep it?
One of the halachas of is like if he's just a straight kohen. It does if he's a rasha but he's a kohen, he can duchen. He could be a rasha gemara, but he's a kohen, so goes into hey, go ahead. It's like certain things that don't make sense, but like in a case like this, you just want to be you're not being mechaber the person per se. You're being mechaber the kohen.
Okay, but whatever it is, for some reason they didn't want it to look like
it's a put down.
What? That he's in jail.
It's a put down. Yeah, that he is in jail. Yeah. What do you mean? Make it like it's a real house and finish. Don't make it like it's jail doesn't need a mezuzah l'chayra from what the Gemara is saying.
Yeah, no.
So this way you make it into a real house.
Yeah. So that whatever it means, but that's yeah. So let's do a few more lines. So man tana lo the tana, who's the tana to this brisa? Now on to Yud Aleph and Aleph that says kol hasharim shahayu sham, all the gates. Right, that were in the base of Mikdash, lo yayu lahem mezuzah. They didn't have mezuzah chutz mishar Nikanor, except for Shar Nikanor. Right, Nikanor was he brought the 2 doors from Mitzrayim. That whole story.
Right?
Yeah. So the shalafnim mimenu lishkas parhedrin, because inside the Shar Nikanor was the room where the kohen gadol stayed. Right, so that room, since it led to the kohen's room, it needed so the Shar Nikanor, since it led to the room of the kohen gadol, it needed its own mezuzah. So
but it led to many rooms. It led to many rooms, not the whole courtyard. It wasn't just that room.
Well, yeah. So they needed, so that they needed a mezuzah.
But we don't care about the other rooms. We only care about the palhedrin.
What do you mean we don't care about them?
We don't care that it led into other rooms.
I don't know the dimensions, but
no, because the other rooms didn't have mezuzahs.
That's what I'm saying. So we don't care that it opened up into the other one.
Right. Yeah. What are you saying, Rabban?
Gadol in a broom closet. I mean, you people are like, what do you think it was? They cleaned out the toilet paper so he could they put him in a stand-up cot for a week. He was the kohen gadol going to do the avodah for Yom Kippurim for whole Klal Yisrael. They treated him with covered gadol.
What does that have to do with our question? Anything?
I don't know what your question was, Doctor. I'm sorry. I don't listen to your questions. I don't know what your question
You're a
was.
smart man. I see you've been speaking to my family.
anyway, so whatever it is, so now who is the Tana that holds that there was a mezuzah on the Shar Nikanor? Lema Rabbanon, he v'loy Rabbi Yehuda. It must be the Rabbanon, not Rabbi Yehuda. Why? The Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda, because if it's Rabbi Yehuda, he gufa gezerah. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the room for the kohen gadol is a gezerah. It didn't need a mezuzah lahalacha according to him. It did it as a gezerah because it shouldn't look like he's in jail, right? Now we're going to say that the room leading to the room needs a mezuzah too. That's a gezerah legezerah, right? Meaning, we didn't explain it. It's a shar. There's something called a base shar. It'll be brought up tomorrow, Bez Hashem. A base shar is a room that leads into another room. So Me'ikar Adin, that room doesn't need a mezuzah if it's not the proper size or whatever it is. So the Shar Nikanor needed a mezuzah because it was leading into the kohen gadol's room. But that's a derabanan. So it's double derabanan. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's a double derabanan. We don't make a gzeira legzeira. So it must be that price is the Rabbanon who hold that midaraisa, the kohen gadol's room needed a mezuzah. And then we could say at the Rabbanon, the Shar Nikanor, which leads to that room, also needs a mezuzah. Right? That's what we think. But then the Gemara says, no, afilu teim Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara answers, he could even say it's Rabbi Yehuda. Kula chada gezerah. It's all one gezerah. Like the classic answer whenever we say gezerah legezerah, it's one big gezerah. Right? When they said that the lishkas palhedrin needs a mezuzah, they said the Shar Nikanor also needs a mezuzah. They said that gezerah at the same time. Right? Meaning they would have thought, Pashtas is, they would have thought that it still looks like jail. If the gate that led to the room of the kohen gadol didn't have mezuzah, the Hamayna would still think it looks like jail. So therefore, they said, hey, we got to put on mezuzah on the kohen gadol's actual room and in the gate that leads to that room. So it was one big gezerah. Okay, we'll continue this tomorrow, Bez Hashem. Fine.
Yes,
sir.
There's some points that hold that if you 7 days, let's say you're in a hotel, you have to put up a
7 days, no, but 30 days, yes.
Rav Herschel Schachter, you never heard such a thing?
I never heard such a thing. Could be, yeah, he holds that?
I think I once heard that. What, you're in a bungalow for 30 days, you have to put up a...
Yes, this was a Corona Shiloh last year at this time. People went to Orlando because everybody was in quarantine anyway. So a lot of people drove down to Orlando and stayed there for a couple of months, right?
Right.
After 30 days, they all had to start getting mezuzahs for their houses, hotels, houses, whatever it is. Yeah.
Isn't it a Shiloh that they could take it off as well?
Then the problem is you're taking it off, but there you have goyim moving in probably, so then you're allowed to take it off.
Yeah, but don't you have to own the house?
No, rent is the rabbanon. We're going to get into this over the next two block. But renting is the rabbanon.
You have to put it on immediately.
We're in Eretz Yisrael. Well, what are you talking about?
Even here.
Here, if you own, you have to put it on immediately. Yes, if you rent, it's 30 days, and that's because renting in Chutz La'aretz only is a derabbanon. Renting in Chutz La'aretz is a derabbanon, so you get 30 days.
All right.
All right.
And so Yaakov,
just
a little story about Reb Shlomo. You're talking about, the kohen gadol going into this lishkas palhedrin. Reb Shlomo years ago, we was in Heathrow. He hadn't davened Shachris. I don't know if he was going to Church or going back to the States, whatever. So he went over and he asked. He said he needs if they can give him a room so he could daven. So they brought in security with the head of the airport, and whoever they brought in, he took him and he put him into the office that the Archbishop of Canterbury has in Heathrow Airport. So it wasn't a broom closet, you know what I'm saying? He said it was a nice Shana suite. They brought him into daven over there.
Interesting. I guess the guy must have flown a lot if he has his own lishkas palhedrin in the airport there.
No, the Church of England is an official religion, is the official religion,
Right.
And so the Archbishop of Canterbury is the head of that church, and
Right.
so he has a very similar kavod as the royal family in England. He has his own cars. He has his own what do you call it? A state-owned house. The position holds a very heavy power there.
Yeah.
I hear.
Whereas Jews, it wouldn't be such a crazy thing to think that, like, hey, we'll make room. They most likely didn't, but it wasn't anything. It theoretically wasn't anything lavish. It was something.
How do you know? Now you sound like Dovi Langa. How do you know?
No. I'm saying. It very well could be, right? It very well could be. But most likely
they did treat him differently. They made him step on the marble floor so he shouldn't fall asleep.
Right.
They
didn't set it up for comfort. It wasn't a kibbutz thing. It wasn't a kavod thing. They didn't set it up for comfort. They wanted to have him at a certain state of readiness, so that he didn't fall asleep too easily, so that he didn't have shechus zera, so he didn't have all that stuff. It wasn't like I am now, like laying out on my couch like a prince.
I hope it wasn't like you laying out, Simon.
That'd be a different story. That'd be
put your mask back on. You know what I'm saying? That's not. We know that.
At least I'm wearing pants. At least I'm wearing pants tonight. You know, Baruch
That's
Hashem.
true. That's true.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, because they had to have a certain. They had to have a certain control over him.
We understand that, Simon. But he was there for a week. It wasn't just Yom Kippur the night before Erev Yom Kippur. He was there for a whole week.
Of course not. But I'm saying, like, yeah, there was no TV and Cheetos. You know, like it was.
Well, the Sanhedrin were like his drill sergeants the whole week.
They'd come in, hey, wake up, you bum.
I don't think they said it that way, but
I gotta go. Have yourselves a good night.
Okay, good night. Chicago.